Yo, what's going on, fam? Dave Early here. Welcome back to my channel. We focus on photography and video for sports and fitness. If you're new to this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I upload videos on a regular basis. In this video, we're gonna be editing some fitness photos. Let's do it. All right, so we're back in Photoshop. And I'm just gonna go through a few steps on how I like to edit these photos. Might give you an idea how you can go about editing your photos if that's what you're into. This is a picture from my last photo shoot. You might recognize the model. We shoot a lot and we got this photo the other day. And so when I'm starting out on my photo editing, first thing I like to do is I will take this photo and I will open it up in the camera raw filter and just give it a brief look over. And this is like the initial settings. What I usually do, I don't do too much, but I'll boost the exposure probably about 50. All right, so we're going to be in 50, and this is just to boost the lighting a little bit. I don't do too much. I do that actually in the program. So I'm going to open that up. Boom. So now that is a little bit more exposed, what I'll do is I'll open up a new layer and I will get my brush and I'll make it very small, and I will pretty much just highlight the things that are distracting to me. There's a lot of distractions in the background and I feel like that takes away from the photo. So, I'll just highlight something like this long little thing right here. I think that's a barbell. The light panel up in here is distracting, and all this stuff in the background is distracting. So yeah. And as you can see down here, the bench has these little feathers down here, or these little rips down here. And I want to make sure that I get all of that, even the difference in the flooring. So you can see it's very bright right here, where actually right here, it just doesn't look good. Something like this doesn't look good either. So, I go in here, and these are the things that I'm going to focus on besides just the model overall. All right. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to my layer and make a duplicate, hit Control J on Mac. And this is the layer that I'm going to be working on, because I don't want this to be destructive editing. I want this to be flawless, and I don't want to ruin the original image, because I might want to go back and I might want to edit it again in a different way. You never know. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filter, Liquify. And when it comes to females and it comes to modeling and fitness photography, I want to make the model look as sexy as possible. So that really comes with the shape of her body. And nobody's perfect, but in Photoshop you can be. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get my tool, get my pucker tool, and the pucker tool is going to make things shrink. Again, I'm not going to do too much. I'm just going to make minor adjustments here to her waist, make that look nice and slim. Okay. I'm going to get the forward warp tool, make it a little big. I'm using a soft brush for this, and I'm just going to give her body a little bit more shape. So I'm going to, oh, that's not what I want. And I'm going to just bring a little bigger. Yeah, just like that. Bring her stomach in, bring her back in just a little bit. Just give it a nice curve. Zoom in right here if I can. Oh, that's too much. Up, too much. Back out. Get that brush. Just make sure that her curves look nice and natural. I'm gonna make it a little bigger right there. Good. So now you have that nice shape, and that doesn't look bad at all. And then I'm gonna take the expansion tool, and then I'm gonna go over her assets. So that means her bosoms, make these larger, and then just add a little bit more to her butt, make it pop out just a little bit more. Boom. All right, then I'm gonna hit OK. And just show you the difference in that. Boom, boom. That looks much, much better already. And that's the few first steps of the photo, right? So I don't really need this layer. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna duplicate that layer. And now I'm gonna be working off of this. And this is just for, video purposes. I'm not gonna do it too much, just enough. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on the background, get rid of the distractions that are bothering me. So I am going to take the healing brush tool, just hit J on the keyboard. And the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna attack this line right here. Make my brush a little bigger, make it a little softer. So to do that, I'm pressing Control Option and I'm just dragging up. So if you drag up, it'll get softer, drag it down, it'll increase the hardness of the brush, but I want my brush to be nice and soft because I don't want it to be too noticeable. And I'm just gonna go through and make these adjustments. So that's not gonna work because I have to bring that layer to the top. You see how nice and smooth that is. If it was hard, it would look like it would look Photoshop, but I want to make this look natural. So I'm just going to go through this really quickly. Make all of this blend into the background. Now, the tricky part is when you get close to the subject is when, the content awareness of the brush, it'll take that into account. So you want to get nice and close, make sure that you're not making any mistakes when you get close to the skin. All right, that looks good. And just continue your work, continue the flow, make it look nice and natural. Yep. All right, and that will be taken care of. So with this thing on the left, you see when you get close to the edge, it might be a little more difficult, but it wasn't. That was nice and smooth. Gotta love it, gotta love it. And so I'm gonna go through and just do this to everything that I already outlined. Like, something like this was already outlined before. That's why I do that layer, to always go back and be able to reference. Turn that layer off, bring my layer back to the top. And just go over that and make it disappear. But you see, it's never perfect. It's never perfect, but it still looks decent. Get up here, get all these little flurries, all these little rips in the furniture. Bam, and that is already looking better on the left side. So just to give you, let me get rid of this layer right here, just to give you like a little preview, from what it started out to be to what it is now. It's already looking better. Already. Okay, so the next thing I want to tackle is this light panel up here and all this stuff up here. Like all this stuff right here, it's a huge distraction to me because, being a photographer or a director, you notice things that people don't usually notice. And it sucks, man. It sucks because, you want your photo to be represented in a good way. You want your models to be represented in a good way. And, sometimes it does lead to a little bit of perfection. You do become a perfectionist if you're serious about your work, which I am. So the thing about this is, the healing brush tool might not do the best job with this. It's like, it's a very large object. So it's not going to be like the best method. So I'm going to switch to the stamp tool. Again, I'm going to keep my brush soft. And basically what I like to do is if I'm working up, I will select something that's further down. So you hit Option to select what you want to replace it with. Again, I'm just going to run through this really quickly. And yeah, that looks good. So moving on to, the stuff that's actually in the background, which is just equipment, right? Something that's distracting to me is, this yellow. Like I spoke of in my other video, bright colors, your eye is naturally drawn to brightness and light. So, boom, you see that blue, whatever that is. I think that might be like a piece of equipment. Yep. And these look like, they're TRX ropes or something like that, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go and use the healing brush tool, go over that, just blend it into the background. And Photoshop is reading it. It's like, wait, what do you want me to do with this? I want you to blend it in. That's what I want. Boom. Just blend that in. Yeah, you see that? It's like it was never there. Now, just for the video's sake, I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, cool. So now, that layer right there, we'll just go ahead and name it. We'll just call it cleanup. That's why I like to clean it. Why I like to call it cleanup is we're just cleaning up the stuff in the photo. Now we're going to actually focus on the model. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think about her. Think she's pretty, she's cute, or not. And we don't want that. We don't want the stamp tool. We're going to use the healing brush tool. That's what it's for. I'm just going to remove these blemishes on her face. So that's our initial cleanup right there. Remove stuff from the background, remove some blemishes from the model's face. And, now I can go ahead and do, what I do. I'm not going to get too deep into it. Usually I go into like frequency separation and I'll do all this other stuff. So for frequency separation, I have an action that I got from Flurn, and Flurn is basically like a learning platform. You can learn everything from A to Z, whether it be from Photoshop, Lightroom to photography. It's a really good educational resource. And so it has these free actions as well. So I'm going to use this Flurn action. Go ahead, set this. It helps you set the blur. And what frequency separation does is it separates the pixels from the color. And, that's going to help me, edit the photo. And it's an action, so it's automatically going to set it up for you, as you can see. Okay. And what I do is, it comes in a folder with low frequency and high frequency. High frequency is basically the texture. Low frequency is the color, I believe. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a layer in between those. Zoom into what I want. And what I want is basically I want to get some of this shine off of her forehead. So I'm gonna get my brush tool. Again, a nice soft brush. And also I have a Flurn retouching brush. Number one, have a soft brush, because you are, going towards the face. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to bring that flow down. You gotta bring the flow down. I'm gonna make it nice and soft. So I think below 20 is good. I'm going to sample the colors around what I'm trying to change. I'm just gonna lightly keep on sampling colors and take away some of that shine. All right. Okay, good. So, just to show you what that looks like, if you want to have a look. Let me see that. Had those highlights on her face, but with the frequency separation, I was just able to dim those highlights just a little bit. Again, I'm not going to do this perfect. All right, cool. So, that looks decent. And now, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to work on the atmosphere, like the coloring. And I'm going to brighten the image. I'm going to give it a color tone, and I'm going to sharpen it. And then, that'll be it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my adjustment layers. I'm going to go to Selective Color, and I'm going to start with the blacks, start at the bottom, and you'll see how that changes the photo. So, that stuff is in the background. I can kind of dim it, but again, that does like dim her face. So there's two ways that you can do this. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. Bring this down to like -2. And I see that they've changed some things from CS6 because above black is usually, you know, white. I'm not gonna mess with the yellows, doesn't make a difference. I do want this to have like a cooler tone to it. So I'm gonna boost the cyan colors. Boom. Go ahead, start playing with the neutral colors, subtract some black. And keep that the way it is. And this is just something that, you know, you tweak it as you go, you know, to what you like. And basically this is adding and subtracting from the colors that are in the photo. So I want to go to red because red is usually what controls the skin tone. So you'll see how this affects her skin. So if I, you know, add more black, obviously her skin gets darker, but if I subtract the black, her skin gets a little lighter. And you know, she is a person of an ethnic background, so I don't want to make her like super pale like this. No, I want to make sure that you can see that, you know, she's not Caucasian, but she is of a different race. Keep her skin nice and cool and make her pop from the background. Okay, so you see how that affects the photo. That's color, that's select color right there. This is before I added it, this is after, and this is just the initial edit. Okay, so after I do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my curves adjustment and just bring the overall picture up just a little bit, bring the levels up just a little bit. Okay, and that is just the initial one. I'm gonna do that again, but this time, okay, it's gonna boost just a little bit, boom. But this time, I'm gonna invert that layer, and I'm gonna put a B on it. Put a D on it. This is for dodge. And do that again, and then bring it down, and this is going to be my burn layer. Invert that layer, put a B on it for burn. Okay, so basically what dodge is going to do, dodge is going to pretty much just put an emphasis on what I just did. So with the inverse layer, you're not going to see it in places that you don't want it to be seen. So places I want it to be seen, as in like the, you know, boosting of the natural environment, is right here on her face because it is a little dark. So I want to just add something to that, not too much. Right here in her arms are kind of dark, and you know, with a light brush, I'm just going to add a little bit to that. Bring it forth just a little bit, just a tiny bit, not too much. Okay, and then with the burn tool, and this is what I use to kind of bring out, you know, the shape. So make it seem like she has some abs going on right there. So if you watch my last video and the way that, you know, light and shadow interact with each other, you'll be able to see like, hey, you know, you can actually make shapes. So if you want to add some muscle, add a little tone to that, you can see the difference that it makes right there when I click that layer on and off, especially the one in the face, because that side of her face is a little bit dark. You know, this isn't a perfect photo. I didn't have a fill light. As you can see, you can't really see under her chin. So what I'm going to do is, just to make sure that she has a neck, I'm just going to burn that area right there and bring the highlights up just a little bit in her face, on her chest, just a little bit, you know, because without that fill light that, you know, would be there, kind of looks like her head is just floating. But again, this isn't something that, you know, I'm looking to be perfect. It's just for video's sake. All right. I know I said that like 100 times. So, all right, cool. So this is what we got so far. And it wasn't too much editing, not too much dodging and burning. So now I'm just gonna go to the levels. Brighten it up just a little bit, because again, I don't want this to feel like it's a horror movie. I want her to pop out of the photo. And just to do that. Okay, cool. So we'll just adjust those levels. And now I'm gonna go into color balance and just give it a nice tone. So I like to kind of make it cooler, but in this photo, since her outfit is red, I'm just gonna boost the reds just a little bit and cool it down with the blue. Now, if I went the opposite way, it'd look crazy. Going towards the blue makes it a little bit more natural. And those are just the midtones. I'm gonna go to the highlights, do the same thing. If I go all the way red, you'll see that. If I go all the way blue, you'll see that. And I want to get it somewhere in the middle. It's almost like she's glowing almost. So that's, -5, just looks good to me. And this is pretty much based off of what I'm seeing. There's not like a recipe for this. It's just something that I've done over and over again. So I kind of know what I already want, and, just head to the shadows and, continue working depending on what you want. I want it to feel a little bit warmer when it comes to the shadows. Keep her skin tone, but at the same time making her pop out. Cool. That looks good to me. And yep, and now we're towards the end. So, we fixed the background, we got rid of the distractions, we did some dodging, did some burning to the subject herself. And, in the beginning, we, used the liquefy tool to kind of give her body a little bit more shape, added to her brassiere, tucked in her stomach a little bit, tucked in her back a little bit, just to make it look sexy, and at the same time keeping it looking natural. And I might go back and I might do a little bit more. Actually, you know what? I am not. So now, I think we're good here. I'm gonna use this Flurn action to sharpen this image. And these actions are very strong, so I'm just gonna give it a +2. I'm gonna run that action. And boom, there you go. There you go. And as you can see now, this is nice and sharp. All right, go ahead and make that full screen. So, now you can see what that looks like. And, I'm assuming a lot of people, they do this on, they go to Instagram and they have all these Instagram filters and things of that nature. I like to keep things, nice and cool, make them look natural. And that looks pretty good to me. So what I'll do is, let me kind of stretch this out a little bit. I'll put all of this in a group. Hit Command G to group it. And what I'll do is I'll turn this off, turn the frequency separation off, turn the cleanup off. And that's the original image right there. That's the original image. That's what we started working with. And, this is what we got now. Like I said, in steps. Boom, just kind of cleaned up the background, added some shape to the body, tucked in the stomach, poked out the bust, the buttocks, the glutes, whatever. Frequency separation, just got a little bit of the shine on the face, added some color and added some sharpening. And this is what you got right here. So there it is, y'all. There's the video. I appreciate you watching. Go ahead, hit that like button, drop a comment, let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I do upload videos on a regular basis, and I appreciate y'all for being patient with me as I work through my system and get this thing down. Just want to inspire people, motivate people, educate people to go out there and be creative. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.